Okay, let's unpack this. Something big is happening in the world of cybersecurity right now. CYBERWALL 2025.
Yeah, it's definitely making waves.
Our sources for this deep dive, they're focused entirely on this event. It's described as, well, one of the most comprehensive cybersecurity encounters out there right now.
And it's designed for a really wide audience, Everyone facing this challenge of keeping our digital world secure.
And it's packed with much more than just presentations, right? We're talking activities, workshops.
Oh, yeah, workshops, meetings, competitions, the works. It's not just sitting and listening.
That's the key, isn't it? It deliberately brings together this heterogeneous group.
Exactly. It's acknowledging that cybersecurity isn't just an IT department thing anymore.
Right.
It affects citizens, small shops, major corporations, protecting critical infrastructure.
Right.
Everyone's kind of in this together.
And our mission here in this deep dive is really to give you the most important nuggets from this event. We're pulling insights directly from discussions with the inspector's chief organizing it.
The people right at the heart of it.
Yeah. We want to understand what makes CYBERWALL unique this year. What's the sort of central theme they're really pushing? Who exactly is it for? And maybe what are the key takeaways that cut through the noise and help you be better informed about, current cybersecurity challenges and what's being done?
And we've gone through the source material. And if there's one concept that's really front and center this year, it's something they're calling reliable identity.
Reliable identity. That sounds fundamental.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean in this context?
Well, the sources define it as knowing with security and precision that the person you're interacting with online is truly who they claim to be.
Okay.
It's about securely verifying and, crucially, protecting that digital version of yourself.
And why has that become the absolute core focus for CYBERWALL 2025? Why now?
Because, as the sources really emphasize, our identity online, it's just not a simple login anymore or just a digital copy of your physical ID.
Right.
It's become the fundamental gateway, the door to our entire digital existence.
Wow.
Think about it. It's the door to your assets, your reputation, your privacy, your rights, your ability to even participate in society. How securely that identity is managed and verified online is, it's absolutely foundational.
Every click counts, basically.
Pretty much. Every single click you make, every transaction, every interaction, it all relies on this underlying assumption of a reliable identity. Protecting that digital self is just paramount.
So it's really shifted from being maybe a technical detail to the cornerstone of our online lives.
That's a good way to put it.
And this isn't just a standard conference. They actually call it an awareness project. What does that distinction mean?
It means the scope is broader. It's not just academic papers or super deep technical talks, although, those are definitely there.
Okay.
But the aim is to raise consciousness across that whole diverse audience we mentioned, from individuals right up to large organizations about the shared challenge. It's about building practical awareness, practical skills, not just presenting research findings.
Got it. More hands-on, maybe?
In a way, yes. More about practical understanding and action.
And this is the 5th edition, right? So the sources must highlight some specific new things this year. What jumped out at you?
Well, one interesting historical note they mentioned. It's the first time the event is marking a big anniversary. 30 years since the police's Technological Research Applied Unit was founded.
Oh, wow, 30 years. Back in 95.
Exactly, 1995. And they've actually put together a timeline exhibit. Attendees can see how this specialized unit has evolved over 3 decades. It gives you some perspective on how long law enforcement has been grappling with tech crime.
That's a fascinating historical thread running through what sounds like a very forward-looking event.
It is.
And speaking of looking forward, they've created something specifically for young people this year.
Yes, that's a big new addition. CYBERWALL Junior. It's happening on the 4th day, June 6th.
Okay.
And it's specifically tailored for young people, think roughly 12 to 17 years old. The sources mentioned the first ESO to first baccalaureate age range.
And the numbers.
Really impressive for a first go. Over 760 kids from the province are signed up to attend.
Wow, 760 young people. What are the goals with CYBERWALL Junior? What do they hope those kids actually walk away with?
Well, the main goals seem to be, first, bringing the world of cybersecurity closer to them early on. Makes sense. Teaching them safe online navigation, helping them recognize online threats, and crucially, explaining how to protect their online identity. The sources use this interesting phrase, a crystal society.
The Crystal Society. What do they mean by that? Any ideas?
I think the term suggests how the online world feels increasingly transparent, doesn't it? Where information about you can just spread incredibly rapidly and become, well, permanent.
Right, like you're living in a glass house online.
Exactly. So in that environment, protecting your identity, managing your digital footprint, it becomes absolutely essential. They also hope to inspire some vocations, maybe get kids interested in police work or cyber fields down the line.
And this is a test run.
Yeah, the sources mention it's kind of a pilot this year, but they see the potential to make it a much larger, maybe even separate event in the future.
That makes perfect sense, starting that education when they're so actively engaged online already.
Definitely.
And what about the other end of the spectrum? Maybe groups less equipped for cyber threats?
That leads to another really critical new initiative, digital first aid workshops. These are specifically for small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs.
Okay, the local shops, the cafes.
Exactly. The reasoning here, as the sources highlighted, is pretty stark. While large companies, they have dedicated security teams, SMEs often have absolutely no idea what to do when they suffer a cyber attack.
And the sources stressed when, not if.
They really did. It's a matter of when. And these workshops are designed for that precise moment, that panic moment.
So what do they teach? Like basic steps?
Yeah, basic rapid response reflexes for those critical first 5 minutes. They teach businesses things like who to contact immediately. They mention referencing resources like in CYBE's 017 helpline.
Okay, practical help.
Exactly. The goal isn't to turn them into security experts overnight. It's to give them the immediate steps to prevent catastrophic business continuity loss simply because they froze. Not knowing whether to unplug everything or call someone. It's aimed at addressing that real-world gap where panic just takes over.
That's a fantastic, practical application of awareness. It really shows that cyber defense needs different approaches for different groups, doesn't it?
Absolutely. One size definitely doesn't fit all.
Which makes me think about the broader challenge, getting this knowledge out there more generally. The sources touched on whether this kind of cybersecurity education should be part of regular school curricula, right?
Yes, that question came up, especially thinking about reaching areas beyond, the immediate vicinity of the police academy in Avila where CYBERWALL is held.
So what's the current situation? Are police involved in schools already?
The sources explain that, yes, the National Police are already actively involved through their citizen participation units. Apparently, these units are in all commissariats, and they visit schools across the country.
What do they talk about?
Things like online dangers grooming, the risks of sharing images online and losing control of them, cyberbullying. So some basic online safety formation is already happening through police outreach.
Okay, so CYBERWALL Junior is almost like an amplification of that existing effort, bringing in maybe more specialized content and experts.
Exactly. It brings in leading minds. They mentioned Google's lead for AI in Europe talking about AI, which is huge right now.
Definitely.
And another expert discussing this sort of dark and light side of the net, bringing that level of expertise directly to young people.
And the idea is to start young.
Yeah, they emphasize this knowledge should ideally start even younger, maybe 5 or 6, given how early kids get devices these days. It's about equipping them not just to navigate the digital world safely themselves, but maybe even help their peers if they're dealing with cyberbullying or other online issues.
It really underscores how foundational this knowledge is becoming. Just part of growing up now.
Pretty much essential life skills.
And this links directly to how the police themselves are having to adapt, doesn't it? I mean, the nature of pursuing criminals has changed so dramatically.
It absolutely has. The fight against crime now heavily involves digital investigations, pursuing threats online. It's a different ballgame.
Requires a different skill set in law enforcement.
Totally. And the sources highlighted what they called the brutal intellectual capital they're seeing in new police recruits, even at the basic entry level.
Really? Like what kind of backgrounds?
They mentioned recruits with backgrounds in mathematics, AI, other technical fields that, weren't traditionally common in policing.
That's fascinating. So they're finding this talent already coming into the force.
Yes, and the police are actively working to identify it and then channel that talent effectively. They're connecting these recruits with specialized cyber units through things like practices and open days, making sure those valuable tech skills are directed where they're most needed in combating cybercrime.
And the way private companies are engaging with this talent at CYBERWALL itself is particularly telling, isn't it?
It really is. The sources pointed out that private companies aren't just there for sponsorship or, getting their name out. They're actively using the event for talent acquisition.
So
Well, they gave the example of companies sponsoring competitions like Capture the Flag events focused on penetration testing.
okay, the hacking challenges.
Right. But instead of just offering, say, a cash prize or some gear, they're offering job opportunities to the winners.
Wow. Offering a job right there based on a competition. That speaks volumes.
It really does.
What do you think that signals about the demand for these skills, or maybe the value they place on that practical ability shown in a competition?
Well, I think it signals a couple of things. First, just the immense demand for cybersecurity talent. Right now, the sources did note the high demand and low unemployment in this field. It's hot. Second, it shows that these companies value those practical, hands-on problem-solving skills you demonstrate in competitions like CTFs just as much, maybe even more sometimes, than traditional qualifications on a resume.
It's like a direct pipeline for identifying proven talent.
Exactly, a very practical recruitment tool.
That's a very concrete illustration of how the landscape is changing.
Yeah.
And they're even leveraging internal police talent for other aspects of the event itself.
Yeah, that was interesting too. They mentioned that even things like the event design, the merchandising, that's handled by police personnel who happen to have backgrounds or skills in areas like marketing or design.
So it shows the diverse skills already present within the force.
Right, and that they're being applied in maybe unexpected ways. It paints a picture of an organization really evolving to meet this digital challenge, cultivating and attracting new kinds of expertise.
Okay, stepping back a bit, what's the overall range of topics covered in the sessions at CYBERWALL? It sounds like it must be huge.
It's incredibly broad. It really reflects all the different facets of cybersecurity today. You've got sessions covering online fraud, cryptography.
The technical stuff.
Yeah, but also the fight against child sexual exploitation online, disinformation. Huge topic there, major cyber attacks, protecting critical infrastructure.
That seems crucial.
Very. And adapting to new regulations like the European NIS2 directive. They specifically mentioned a presentation from Renfe, the Spanish rail network, on how they're adapting.
Okay.
And you also see sessions on things like big data and data science, showing how interconnected all these fields are now.
So with all that breadth, how do attendees navigate it? How do they choose?
They structure the sessions by level, think low, medium, high, and also by theme. So the attendees can kind of pick and choose based on their existing knowledge and what areas they're most interested in. Whether you're just starting out or you're a deep expert, there's something there.
And the mix of attendees is just as diverse as the topics, isn't it?
Absolutely. You've got police officers, naturally, both from Spain and internationally, but also students from various universities, public and private, professionals already working in the industry, and business people from all sorts of sectors.
And the list of participating companies is pretty significant too, you mentioned.
Yes, over 64 companies and institutions involved this year. And it's particularly notable, the sources pointed out, that major global tech companies like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are participating for the first time.
That's a big draw, having them there.
Definitely adds weight and perspective.
And the location itself, holding it at the National Police School, adds another layer of significance, doesn't it?
It really does. The event is held right there in Avila. And the sources describe the school as, well, one of the best police academies in the world.
So hosting CYBERWALL there, it's not just logistics.
No, it also serves to inspire vocations, especially for the young people or students attending who might be considering careers in STEM fields. It showcases the opportunities available not just in the public sector with the police, but also highlights the huge demand and possibilities in the private sector, too.
And it must be a natural place for networking and collaboration.
Exactly. The sources really stress the importance of that making synergy, getting to know new tools, meeting potential partners. They even mentioned Huawei was testing a new, apparently quite powerful tool there for the first time this year.
So it's a real hub for connection and business opportunities alongside all the learning.
That's the idea.
Okay, so just to quickly recap the logistics for anyone listening who might be local or perhaps interested, the main event dates are June 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Correct.
CYBERWALL Juniors on June 6th. It's all happening at the National Police School in Avila. And the sources mentioned you can actually get accredited on site if you just show up with ID.
That's right. They said just bring your ID. Even an electronic one works, and you can get accredited there.
Okay, good to know. So we've covered the core theme, reliable identity, the new initiatives for young people and businesses, how the police force is evolving, the sheer scope of the event. But zooming out, Why does diving into something like CyberWall 2025 really matter to you, the listener? Why should they care?
Well, because understanding what's happening at events like this, it gives you a direct window into the most pressing cybersecurity challenges being discussed right now, and crucially, how different sectors are actively responding.
So it's like getting a snapshot of the front lines.
Exactly. Learning about the focus on reliable identity, for example, helps you understand the fundamental importance of your own digital self and the threats it faces, things like fraud or identity theft. Knowing about things like those SME workshops or the police's school outreach programs might be relevant for your own business or maybe for young people you know.
Right.
And seeing how talent is being identified and recruited, well, it highlights not only potential career paths, if you're interested, but also the real skills that are in demand in this rapidly evolving landscape.
It really brings home the point that cybersecurity isn't some abstract IT problem tucked away somewhere. It's something affecting everyone's life and livelihood now.
Precisely. It just underscores that everyone needs to be an aware and ideally active participant in securing their own corner of the digital world.
So this deep dive into CyberWall 2025, drawing directly from those organizers' insights, it really gives us a kind of condensed but comprehensive look at the current priorities, doesn't it?
Yeah, the critical focus on reliable identity, the specific tailored efforts to educate youth and vulnerable businesses,
how law enforcement is adapting its profile and leveraging new talent, and just the vast ecosystem of topics and players involved.
We've really aimed to pull out those essential pieces of information, to help you grasp the complexities and the crucial importance of current cybersecurity trends without having to attend the whole 4-day event yourself.
And that brings us to a final thought, building on that core idea of reliable identity. The sources. They compared protecting your digital identity to being responsible for not losing your physical ID card.
An interesting comparison.
But considering how interconnected our lives are, now, our work, our finances, our relationships, everything happening online is actively managing and protecting that digital self. Now, arguably the single most essential skill you need, regardless of what you do for a living.
That's a powerful question.
And maybe, what steps should you be considering taking right now, today, to secure and verify that increasingly critical digital version of yourself? Something to think about as you navigate the online world.